John here. I am excited to introduce you to my friend Kyle Mealy. Now, Kyle has such a cool story and such a cool background. I was super excited that I got a chance to speak with him. You're going to love this interview. He has so much energy and he is such an action-oriented person. He has built now several businesses that have become very, very successful. Plus, I love his martial arts connection. So you might be able to tell very quickly why I wanted to chat with him on The Intense Life, but I want you to pay close attention because what he's done with his first business and now what he's done with energy has honestly been phenomenal. It's impressed me, and I've had an inside look at what's been going on, and I'm telling you, he is someone to watch. His energy, his passion, his excitement, his integrity. He moves quickly, but he moves intentionally, and I love people who do both of those things. So please enjoy this conversation with my friend, Kyle Mealy.
Good morning. John Mashney here with The Intense Life. I'm actually super pumped I get to speak with Kyle Mealy today. And Kyle and I connected through, I guess, mutual friend, mutual business partner. And honestly, it's been fun to get to know him, learn more about him. And then I learned about his martial arts background. And I was like, Kyle, we must chat. We must talk, or we must, share minds, because it just got me pumped. So, Kyle, great to have you on. I'm excited to spend a little bit of time with you. Can you just give a really quick, hey, who are you, background, what you're about, and if you want to tell, your favorite Chuck Norris joke, feel free, whatever fits, giving you some background.
That's great. Yeah. Thanks for having me, John. I'm grateful to spend a little time in chat. My story is I never thought my martial arts would be valuable to me in the business world. So here we go. It has come full circle today. Brief history. I shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I ended up being one, realized it was really why I didn't fit into any of the other puzzle pieces. Had a kind of a most random background you can imagine. And yes, martial arts shows up in there. And now I'm living my EOS life. As far as Chuck Norris jokes go, I mean, I do love this one around this time of the year. What's the fastest way to a man's heart?
I don't know.
Chuck Norris's fist.
I love it. I love it, man. That's awesome. So tell me, okay, so you said you weren't supposed to be an entrepreneur. What do you mean? What's the background there?
Entrepreneur was not a word that existed in my house. I didn't even think it was a thing. And my dad had a incredible 25-year career working for the state. His vision for how you succeed in life was you get a good job that has good benefits and you spend 25 years there and then you retire. His thought was, I don't live to work, I work to live. And yet that's not me. I have confused those two. And that's when, I ran into being an entrepreneur and it finally pulled me over. And, I call myself unemployable now because there's no way I could go back.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was your first kind of foray? What was the first entrepreneurial kind of event for you?
Yeah, it kind of actually started in college, and that's where martial arts, kind of is the origin story for me. I did martial arts since I was 6 years old. It was my 6th birthday present.
Oh, cool.
And I earned my black belt just before my 10th birthday. And, life was good. I was competing nationally, winning state championship. I was never quite a national champion, but I was right there. So I was good at it. But I loved it, and life was good. And then, for some reason, I stopped in middle school and fell in love with sports. And what was interesting is every year that went by where I wasn't in martial arts, my confidence fell. I didn't know this. I'm looking hindsight now. This is hindsight. I get to college. I have a chance to kind of rewrite the story of who is Kyle. I think that's a valuable piece of college. And I was walking to class one day and I saw a girl up ahead of me with a martial arts sparring helmet on her bag. And I'm like, there's only one thing that's used for. And, I used to be good at that. So I'm going to go figure this out. So I ran up and she's like, yeah, you can take classes through, the school. And I'm like, done. And that ended up being a pivotal moment where I came back to martial arts, came back to my confidence. And then I had an internship in Milwaukee and found my original instructor from when I was, 7, 8, 9 years old. And I
holy
started
cow.
looking for him. And that's kind of right when Entrepreneur opened. But I didn't even know it was Entrepreneur at that point. I was just helping teach.
Okay. And what style of martial arts was it? Taekwondo or what was it?
So in college, I earned a third degree in World Taekwondo Federation Kuki-Wan Taekwondo. I have a fourth degree in what I would call American sport karate. It's kind of like Taekwondo and karate, like they had a baby and it was a great time. And then I've spent a couple years doing Kobudo, which is Japanese weaponry.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what happened when you started working for your old teacher? How did that lead to, you were working like at the dojo or at the gym, or what happened?
Yeah, I was teaching for him, and I had this full-time internship, but I would, clock out of the internship and drive and teach karate all night. And during that summer, he kind of started to share I roll in at noon. I have lunch with my wife, and then I put on my pajamas. I get called sir. I throw balls at kids, and then I kick things, and then I go home and life is good. And I'm like, maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong. And so I came back. He taught me how to really run a karate school, and I came back to college and I put together a Taekwondo club. And there were 3 people in this thing when I started. The leaving president who was graduating and me and another guy, and we both looked at each other like, who wants to be president of this thing? And I said, me. And then by that end of that year, I had grown it to 100 kids, 150 kids, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Having 5 nights of lessons. I had 5 instructors. I did that in 9 months. I realized I was spending a lot more time on everything else besides school.
Yeah. Which
so
is
I came
a
back,
common theme. Yeah.
You're right. I came back and I did an internship with him to run a karate school. I was part of my business minor. And I just, I didn't have the full breadth of my confidence yet to really see what was possible here. But that was when the entrepreneur stuff started to show up. I didn't know even how to label it then. Because here I am. I've got people, hundreds of students in my little college. But I wasn't there yet. And so I left school. And I got a job. The job I got was close enough so I could continue to teach, right? So the roots kept getting deeper and the pull kept getting stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was when I started. I was a real adult, I joke now, where I had a real full-time job. And that was when this, do I want to live and just work and then live my life outside of those hours, or do I want something more? That's when the pain really started.
Yeah. So what happened? Did you continue with did you grow your school, or how did you progress from there?
So I was a lab manager of a wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, whoa.
Right. This is you're going to get into the real fun journey here now. Yeah, that was my career. I was in wastewater.
Were you a chemist? Is that what it was? Or okay, got it.
Yeah,
got it.
I was literally running the lab for Watertown, Wisconsin's wastewater treatment plant. And it's funny because if you think about my first business, my true entrepreneurial leap was into next level revenue. And this idea of data quality, measuring, optimizing, funnels and pipes, treatment along different stages, it's really was hatched in that lab. And so I would come in at 7, leave at 3. I was a lab manager. I had an assistant. I had a lot of the blue collar guys who worked in the plant would also help me with sampling. And so I kind of had a little team right away. I was the youngest person in that facility by 23 years. And so I had this crazy introduction to real life. Suddenly I was in charge. I had to get the data and I had to organize. And at night, I would Zoom home. Literally, I had 7 minutes to change and then get in the car and teach karate all night. So I was working 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. You know what, though? It was the best.
That's
and
awesome.
That's when, something really cool happened at my work life. I won Lab of the Year. Now, Lab of the Year for a wastewater treatment plant lab in Wisconsin is the pinnacle. There is no higher. And I was 23. And my boss came to me and he goes, Kyle, doing great. If you keep doing what you're doing for the next 10 years, you can take my job, which was number 2 at the plant. And I just remember going, that sounds like the worst thing in the world. I'd already optimized. I'd already made the lab as great as it could be. There was no next level. Are you seeing all the parallels here?
Yeah.
time, my instructor was like, come over here. You know systems and process. You're a good teacher. You can help me.
Yeah.
And so I did a 4-hour PowerPoint presentation to convince my parents to go take this job with no benefits, no retirement, no health insurance, and go run a karate school.
Wow. And that's what you did. Was that the really, yeah, go ahead.
That's when I became the entrepreneur in training. So I worked it. Now, here's where EOS will start to show up a little bit. My instructor, who I admired till the day I die, I owe him my confidence, right? We're peaking at my confidence now because here I am more in the entrepreneurial world. It was me, him, and and one woman who was full-time. Like that was the team. It was it. And he brought me in because I knew systems and process. And if you follow along in EOS, you know that there's an entrepreneur, a visionary, who's like, this is what it could be. And then there's somebody who comes in that's called an integrator who makes it happen. I was that guy for him. We built systems and process. And I'll never forget this really crazy moment when my fate was in my hands, and it was really, the best gift, and it was also the most terrifying gift. I was sitting down. We had finished my first 7 months there. He sat me down. We were using Great Game of Business, not EOS yet. And he looked at me and he goes, okay, I'm going to show you a P&L. It was the first P&L I ever saw. And he was trying to do Great Game of Business, which is a good entree into.
Yeah.
And he goes, here's how much I made. Here's how much you made. Spoiler alert, they were the same thing. We were both working 60 hours a week, not making great money. I was making about even to my lab manager gig. And then he showed me that the school didn't make any money. And it was looking like January wasn't going to make any money, and he was going to have to put money in to keep it afloat.
Wow.
And it was, that was my dad's worst fear. It was my worst fear. And that's when I think the spark of entrepreneur really lit. It was like, well, it's up to me now. If it's going to fail, it's going to fail. At least I'm going to control if it fails. I'm not going to wait for somebody to tell me it's to be successful. And I did the only thing I knew how. I just started measuring everything. And I measured sales and I measured marketing. I didn't know what else to do. I was a lab guy. I just measured stuff. And I built
The chemist came out.
Okay, all right. Well, here we go. Okay, I ate and I built Excel spreadsheets. I'm like, okay, well, 8 and 7. Okay, there's something going on. And I swear, I just built mountains of spreadsheets. And then, something really happened. I realized that if I measured it and I tracked it, so tell me if this sounds familiar, you would really get to a point where I could walk from somebody signs up to somebody who is taking class on a trial, who signs up for a trial, who takes their first lesson, who calls in and becomes a lead, who visited the website, who saw us at an event, or who saw one of our website or saw our advertising, saw our mailer. I'm like, gosh, it's kind of simple. If you don't suck at any of those parts and you do enough of them, money comes in the door. And then I just realized there was a pattern. And so I was able to really predict our revenue. And I'll never forget the year we crossed $1 million in revenue. So most people are like, $1 million karate school. I'm like, yeah, it was pretty wild. We were one of the first 3 in the country to do it. So I had the largest school in the Midwest. And I sat down. It was January. We were in planning, and not a EOS planning. We were just talking about the next year. And I'm like, okay, I think I've got the numbers all figured out. I think we're going to do $1,030,000. We hit $1,006,000 that year. I was off by 0.02%. I was pissed. Like, how did I miss this? I got the numbers. And now I know that if a business could know their revenue a year in advance, what would that is the ultimate gift to an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how impressive that was until now. And so, we made $1 million, and, the owner went from working 60 hours a week to 6 hours a week on the things he wanted to, making 6 digits. I was making much more money, and we had this incredible 30% margin MRR business that ran like a top. I replaced myself. We had multiple locations. It was pretty wild. And as what you're starting to realize about me now, he sat me down and goes, "This has been great, Kyle. If you keep doing what you're doing, in 10 years, you can have the school." He didn't want to grow anymore, though. And I'm like, no, we have the playbook. We have it all. We have all the process, all the systems. Let's go duplicate this 10 times. He didn't want to. And so I had to go somewhere else.
And did you feel the need to stay in martial arts or education, or what was the next step? Was it your own kind of company, or what was it?
I was so nervous because who's going to hire a karate guy? So I used my network, which I've now realized is your net worth. And I got an interview with a company, a digital marketing agency. So I know you love marketing. So here's
I
where
do love marketing.
really
Yeah.
comes in. I'd kind of fallen in love with marketing and sales at that point. And so I just landed in like what I now know, this is what's really funny, is I was so naive to the professional world and the business world and the entrepreneurial world. I mean, think about it. I was a lab manager at a city wastewater treatment plant and a karate guy. I landed a gig as a partner manager or something, but I was thinking it was marketing and sales and that I would, just work with the visionary, what I would call
Yeah.
the CEO, and it'd be great. It was a frontline sales job. And I got handed a book on LinkedIn. I started my LinkedIn on my second day on the job. I didn't have a LinkedIn. And he goes, okay, we need money. Bye.
Go get it. Yeah.
Go get it, Tiger. That was terrifying. But you know what? That visionary gave me a lot of space. He just let me go run. And that's, again, this little inkling, like, if you give me space, I will go and I will go, conquer world. And so that business
was it like commission sales or what was
it was so heavy commission sales, and I thought it was great, and I was so stupid. It was terrible. It was just a terrible setup. There was no sales process. There was no marketing. There was nothing. It was founder-led sales. I was like their second hire because the first hire went poorly. But it was a company running on EOS, and this is kind of where EOS really starts to show up. My owner at the karate school had brought in EOS, but never told us it was from this book called Traction by Gino. And so we had L10s and scorecards and rocks and issues lists. I didn't know. I just thought the owners had made it up. Truly, I thought they had made that up of the karate school. And now I'm here. They had been, graduated from an implementer, and all these things that I had always, been frustrated about, or not having the structure to really take the karate school to the next level, was here. And within 4 months, I was speaking at the EOS conference, which is, my favorite place on earth. And that business, I had come to realize, because what do? I'm like, well, I have to know all the numbers. How can we run a business if I can't see the P&L? I didn't know how else to do it. So I kind of faux integrated. And next thing I know, I realized they've been stuck for 3 years at 3 million. I started to do what I do, which is I'm going to put enough into the world with the right conversation, thinking about people and help others first. And guess what happened? We grew back to 4 million that year.
Wow.
The next year we did 5. And then my last year there, we were on track for 7.5 million.
Wow.
I didn't know that was good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was like, I was disappointed because I thought we could have gone faster.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because I really got to experience, a 50-person company going through hyper growth, active in the community. And I built my own little team, and now I've got this pattern. You work with me, your business grows. I build teams. I solve these problems that founders can't solve themselves. And so there came a moment when, the agency wanted to go after enterprise, big business, big whales, and that the bureaucracy, the systems, all the malarkey, I just can't do it. I just wanted to help other business owners. So I said, I'm going to just do this for other people. And I think I can do it for more than one at a time, because I got some great coaching from someone at one point. They said, Kyle, the leadership team is going at about 25 miles an hour. Each wheel is going about 25 miles an hour. They named the leadership team. And he goes, I've come to realize you're going about 150 miles an hour. Like, what if you did fractional? And that was when I discovered fractional, which is funny because Ben Wolf wrote the book on fractional leadership, and he was I met him at my first EOS conference, and he was a celebrity to me, like the visionary and integrator of the agency. We're like, oh, it's Ben Wolf. He's coming. I'm like, hi, Ben Wolf. Nice to meet you. I'm Kyle. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And then I left. My book of business filled overnight almost. I started my business July 1. I was on my own. By November, I was overflowing.
Wow.
It was crazy. Wow. And Ben Wolf ended up becoming one of my clients. I call him now a friend. We just celebrated our second year together, which is crazy. That this celebrity is, someone I can just call in a moment's notice and pick his brain, and he's a brilliant human. So I had this like instantaneous success in entrepreneur life, which was attributed to the community of EOS. It was attributed to the relationships I had built. The people who had helped me first kept helping me. And so what you'll learn about me is I just have this huge burden on my back, whether it's, I don't care if it's wrong to hold that burden or that guilt or whatever you want to call it, but I feel like I owe this community so much more than I've gotten. So I'm kind of a man on a mission now to help more.
That's awesome. And so what's the current play? Because I know with Next Level, you kind of are you still in a seat? Are you visionary seat, or are you completely off the accountability chart, or where are you?
Close. It came up at our last quarterly. So yeah, Next Level, 4 months in, I'm like, I emailed my dearest, assistant is just such a wrong word for her. She keeps my poop in a group. She keeps me together. I was so underwater, so overwhelmed. I remember I sent her an email going, HALLLLPPPP. And I just hit send. Help! And she came in, kind of got me right. And, it was Christmas of 23. I had some time to reflect, and I was talking to my wife about our future, and we do planning. And, I'm so deep into EOS at this point, trying to run Next Level on EOS. I look at her and I'm like, how can I ask these business owners to do these really scary things with me, which is like, trust me with their money, then trust me with their growth, and do things very differently if I'm not willing to do it myself.
Yeah.
That was when I stopped being a solopreneur and wanted to build a business and go into what Gina would call a true entrepreneur from eLeap. And I got my butt kicked. By April, it was rough. I had brought in a fractional integrator. She was brilliant. I love her dearly. But we were trying to run an EOS and the pieces weren't working. Ooh, I do have to put in one caveat. When I let myself go of being an entrepreneur, by the way, I started Next Level in July. I started my nonprofit, which became Energy, in October. So I kind of went all in on serial entrepreneur. I'm like, I'm just doing it. So here we are. It's April. Get my butt kicked. They just kept hitting the ceiling, hiring the wrong people. I knew my numbers, but we couldn't get traction. Trying to go heavier into EOS, couldn't get there. Couldn't afford an implementer at that point yet. And I got introduced to eLeap, Entrepreneurial Leap Academy. And I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical of it first because eLeap, kind of felt like it was for the junior entrepreneur. And at that point, I had just enough of an ego where I'm like, yeah, but look at me. I went in there and I met Ryan Henry, who we know, like that's how we got introduced to Ryan Henry. Yep. And he absolutely kicked my butt, just absolutely beat me bloody in the best way. I say it with love now. And as a martial artist, I have a very thick skull. It's been hit enough that it takes a while before, the bell's clear and I can actually, get back in the fight. And he said something that rocked my world. He's like, so let me get this straight. You have a fractional integrator. You work with Wolf's Edge integrators, best fractional integrators on the planet. At that point, I was working with Vision Spark, who is the best recruitment for integrators. And he goes, and your fractional integrator isn't from there. Your number one issue that you brought to my academy was the integrator because you knew something wasn't working. Have you talked to them? And I'm like, oh my God. So what it taught me in that moment is that entrepreneurs have to get help. Entrepreneurs have to find help. They have to be humbly confident of like, I know what I'm doing, but I need to, it's just, I got to find the who's. So now, of course, I didn't work with either of them in the end because my integrator was actually already in the business. As the story usually goes, he was working for me as a CRO at that point and my fractional chief revenue officer. That's what Next Level is. And he had all the hallmarks of it. He just didn't know the title and didn't know. So we started, and then November 2024, 24, he took over and we moonshot. We added 6 or 7 CROs. We crossed the $1 million ARR mark already. We're a real business now. And by April of this year, we decided to start moving me into 1 day a week. So that was pretty wild because energy at that point was about to lift off. And then this other thing called EMC started to come together. And so I'm so grateful for Sean, my integrator at Next Level, who's just taken on this crazy vision that I had and tackles it to the ground every day so that I can go play.
That's amazing. Okay, so there's so much to talk through, but so talk about energy. Like, and what's energy? Like, I know I personally know so many implementers, and I feel like people that are in the EOS community. So when I open up LinkedIn, I feel like every other post is somebody is at a new energy meeting. That's what I feel like. It's like you guys are taking over. I don't even know. I mean, I know what it is, but I just think it's cool. But what, like, explain, like, why are so many people getting involved in energy, and what's like the attraction for people?
Yeah, so the backstory on it is back to this community. When I went to my first EOS conference, I had these two wonderful, incredible humans, Amy and Kate, grab me by the hand quite literally. They knew me from nothing. Remember, I was wearing bare feet being called sir 4 months previously. Now I'm at a business conference with celebrities like Ben Wolf running around, and these two grab me by the hand, throw me around, and say, here, you got to meet Kyle, you got to meet Kyle. Go over here, go over there, meet this person, over here. Oh, Kyle, come join us here.
Yeah.
And because of that spirit, there was a small group kind of hanging around the edges of EOS that was forming what I would call now the first community around EOS. And those two ladies were in it, fell in love with just the help first nature. And so when I was, an entrepreneur now, I'm like, well, we need to keep bringing all these great people together. Like, we need to have all the places where you go to get the help. And so that was Second Gear Group. That was the first version. It's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And maybe my story becomes really obvious. It struggled. Vision did not have traction. Why? I didn't have the right fit integrator. This is when I felt like, when you think about all the things Gino has given, this community, his 5, core pieces of content, I have literally ran my head into the ceiling, even though I was sitting next to the content for years, didn't know to get my thick skull to deal with it. So it kind of did okay. We had a great little mixer at EOS conference. I had good people involved. We had good content, but it never really grew into what I knew was in my head. It was the bridges that connected all the islands of EOS. Because what I kept finding around EOS is it's like, well, do you know so-and-so? Oh, and then you'd realize there was this whole island of people who were all closely knit. And then you would get introduced over here and there's a whole island. I'm like, why aren't you people talking? And
yeah. True.
Forrest Durr, who is a hero of mine too, had built this energy thing nearly the same time. And I'd been kind of watching it grow, and it was more of a localized, he had a really good structure. He's an integrator. Mine was a little, it's Kyle, we're just going to hang out. Let's have a good time. Everybody's great. And I saw that something was changing with him, so I messaged him out of the blue. He's like, yeah, I think he was he was leaving full time and going to go be a fractional. And I could just tell there was a moment of change. I needed a moment of change with Second Gear Group, or it needed to be shut down. It was a distraction, right? Everybody's been told visionary has a distraction. So I called, I'm like, Forrest, let's talk. Now remember, Forrest was my friend from the first EOS conference I went to, and we had been conference buddy for 5 years. That's we would connect, hug, bro, bald. Like, I still have one of his bald to work shirts. He used to send out ball to work shirts, whole thing. Again, this is that energy I wanted to capture. And he had this thing called Energy, which is the Entrepreneurial Networking Resource Group. And we chatted. I put together a pitch deck because I only know how to speak in visuals and decks and metaphor. And I'm like, we're going to jam our two ideas together. It's going to be great. Just go with it. Yeah. Obviously, as an integrator, he needed some process time. He thought I was crazy. This was like November of last year. And I kind of kept harassing him, truly. And he finally warmed up to it. He finally saw that I had the energy and passion. And at EOS conference, it just in between sessions, he came over. He's like, all right, let's do this thing. And so we shook hands. And what's crazy about Forrest is he had the confidence and the humility, something he built. He just there's no better way he just gave it. Here's the domain. Wow. Here's the hosting. Here's the playbooks. Here's the name. I don't want anything for it. I don't want to, if you can make it happen, take it. And so to this day, that is the epitome upon, that is the foundation upon which energy exists, is we're going to help others first. We're going to find the right who's, we're going to find the right hows. And so,
okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you go.
No, you go. You finish.
And so after EOS conference, we announced this fusion is what we were calling it, not a merger, a fusion, because Forrest had the half I was missing. Tell me if that sounds like any of the books we all know called Rocket Fuel. He had the half. He had the playbook. He had the structure. He had the local effect. I had the virtual, I had the network, I had the friends and family and the energy, truly the energy. And so when we put them together, energy became the go forward. And we built the idea that this is the community for the entrepreneurial path to mastery. That's Gino's 5 pieces, because a lot of us put our content on top of that context. And we were going to do local. And we went live with it June 1st. I had 100 implementers reach out wanting to start a chapter in a week.
Wow.
It was the craziest time. I just started grabbing friends and being like, help, 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 help. And, it was wild. It was just a wild, 90 days. And so here we are. It's December. I think we have 65 active chapters, well over 1,000 members. We just got licensed by EOS. It's huge.
Yeah. And is it so that growth seems frankly like unbelievable, right? You go from, really less than a year, right? You got 65 chapters, and these are all groups of people who are running EOS in their companies. Is that right?
Yeah. A good way of thinking about it is, on June 1st, Forrest had like 2 or 3 chapters at that point. And then we had the national chapter, which became the national chapter, which was my second gear group. We fused them. So we had 4 chapters on June 1st. I think we had 60 by November 1st. Like, we're talking months, like 5 months. And the chapter is composed of a duo leads it. We call them a duo. All a duo is an EOS implementer and an integrator. Those 2 are the perfect pair. Why? Because the implementer holds the content. They're the guide. The integrator makes stuff happen. So they make sure the meeting runs well, on time, ticked and tied, right? All those things. So they make this beautiful duo. Then the duo invites entrepreneurs. I say entrepreneurs because when we think about life outside of just EOS, and we think about the entrepreneur, there's the eLeap Academy. This is why it's so important to me. It's Gino's wisdom for the early stage entrepreneur who is trying to run on EOS or doesn't even know of EOS, who needs to break through, because EOS is for the 10 to 250 employee company. There's a lot less companies, or there's a lot more companies who are not there yet. And they could benefit from Gino's wisdom like me, rocket fuel. So when I think about energy, it's all of Gino's wisdom. So it's for the entrepreneur, the true entrepreneur. And then integrators, because if the VI duo is strong, great things happen.
Yep.
And then we have these vetted experts that I call thoughtful leaders. Why are they thoughtful? Because they're there to give more than they are there to take. And that was the thing that I loved most about EOS. My friends were all the sponsors of the conference, and we helped each other out. It was no ego, no competition. We just wanted to help others. And so that's the beautiful amalgamation. It's really like a mini EOS conference every month. That's the best way to describe it.
Okay, so it's once a month. If someone wanted to join, how would they join one of these locations or one of these chapters?
So they would go to energy.life. I know it's a domain, whatever, but
it's okay. No.
Trust me, it's got plenty of search results right now.
ENRG, right? Just to make sure that, ENRG.life. Okay.
And then you can go to find a chapter near you. There's literally across the country, and this is fun. I'll share this today. Somebody just hit our inbox. I believe an implementer in New Zealand wants to start a chapter.
Whoa.
So we are global. We have Canadian chapters, but this will be really a different kind of global. There's one in Hawaii with 68 or 65. It grew so fast, I lost track many times. There's one near you. If you can't, you can attend the national. The national chapter is always virtual until one gets close enough for you to visit. So you just register right there. We'll let the duo know that you've registered, and they'll expect you. They'll get you some information, and you're on your way.
That's awesome. That's super cool. And honestly, what I love is you've kind of taken to me, the one of the coolest things about EOS is the culture, the people, right? People are just have a different kind of energy. I don't know how else to say it. It's the culture is so amazing, right? And it seems like you've kind of tried to package that up and basically transported it to wherever somebody wants to spread it, right? Is that fair?
That's the burden I talked about. This is my way of like, gosh, if only I had had that way earlier in my career. If only I had had the right who's sooner. And anybody who comes into this orbit around EOS and this culture tends to instantly grasp onto the help first and want to go help others. And you are like, we are here right now because you are an example of that. Ryan Henry got us in a room, said we're all going to help each other. And then now you're our attorney. You just help. I threw stuff at you and you just helped, and you helped so well that we got exactly what we needed from that, legal document. And then you're like, come on the podcast and
let's talk. Yeah.
We didn't know each other. And now it's like, all right, guess we're friends now forever. It's how it's going to be. And yes, if we distribute that across the country, how many entrepreneurs do you think we could help? My number is 70 million.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, I think the bigger thing is when you have people that are doing this right, it's not just the entrepreneur, right? It's like all of the new jobs, all of the people that, I think of how many jobs I've had where I go in and I just feel like it's like the job is killing you a little bit, right? Where you just reverse that, you're affecting people's health, family, wealth. There's just such a huge impact, whether it's family dynamics, their kids, just different aspects of their life. It's really powerful stuff.
That's what makes me so proud of the work we're doing. And it was really Forrest's genius. So I know who upon which to give grace to and honor was Forrest bringing it to the local level. Because I know a lot of the implementers, obviously they lead our chapters, or one half of the equation. They want to have that local impact. They see how that clarity creates confidence and safety and security for businesses and their employees.
Yeah.
We know that if there's a healthy business community, the community is healthy. We know that. Like I don't have to go report on all the studies that have already proved that. So if we can have an impact on that, oh my gosh, that is like, wow. Yeah, I'm a verbose guy. I have plenty of words, but that one makes me speak.
Where does this fit in? Like, how does EMC fit into all this? Because I know it's related. That's something you're also super passionate about. Tell me the vision there.
Sure. Energy is my heart, period, full stop. It is my passion. I joke, if Next Level, was sold off, or EMC was sold, whatever would happen to those, you would find me in energy. You're going to have to rip this out of like my cold, dead hands. There's just nothing that's going to stop me from getting involved in energy. Nothing. However, this community I care about immensely, and this content that has, I don't think it's unfair to say save me, needed to be protected and promoted. That's my deep truth, right? That's what energy is. It's a vehicle to share this more further in kind of hand-to-hand combat, local to local. EMC is the entrepreneurial media company. So I think more entrepreneurial stories need to be told. And that's where EMC comes in. So it is an investment vehicle and a media company. It's kind of this weird mix where we invest in the best entrepreneurial content on the planet so we can distribute it further using how the next generation of entrepreneur will want to learn. A lot of us learned in the meetings like energy. A lot of us learned through books, right? Usually a book was stuffed in my hand and then I had this epiphany and I went to work. That's just not how this next generation is going to learn. They're going to learn through media. And so my belief is if we have, and help promote Gino's 5 pieces of content through EMC, we are going to affect 70 million entrepreneurs. Now, legally, there's a bright line between EMC and energy. It just so happens that there's one guy at the helm of them. EMC's if energy's the puppy, little puppy that's out there in the world trying to do all this great stuff and has all the energy and is lovable and charismatic, I want EMC to be that big mother dog right behind it with teeth baring going, nobody hurts this community. That's how I think
awesome.
about it.
Oh, that's cool.
And then at the same time, it turns around and it's on YouTube as, the coolest dog on planet Earth, right? We know how dogs work on YouTube and Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's super cool, and I love everything you're saying. I'd love to even just ask something you said at the very beginning, like talking about your martial arts background, and you said, "Hey, when you stepped away, you lost confidence." Like, how do you think that initial like training in martial arts affects you today? Like, even with energy, with EMC, with everything you're doing, does it still affect you, or does it like what effects do you think it's had?
So what martial arts, really gave me was a structure upon which to take care of me, and grow. Right? I don't think we're healthy unless we're growing. And for someone kind of crazy like me, I had to always be growing. And if you look back, when I could no longer grow, I made big changes, right? That's what keeps me healthy. And what's great is I've done front kick is the most basic of all martial arts kicks, right? You lift your knee, you straighten it out, you pull it back. It's so simple. I've thrown a 500,000, 1,000,000 in my life. I don't know, 30 years of martial arts. When you're running a school all day, I mean, you're throwing a lot of front
Oh
kick.
yeah, yeah.
I've never had a perfect one. And like I have this, kind of, mindset where it's like, I could do it better next time. I can still do it better. And so by being on this path to mastery, if I fall off the path, if I'm not learning, I'm not growing, that feels like death to me. But if I'm constantly, have a way to improve myself, all of a sudden I can shut out the head trash. I can let that create value for me. That growth is who I am, and as long as I'm growing, I'm strong. And it doesn't matter if I'm, kicking this high. I've had back surgery. I'm almost 40. I got 2 kids. Like my kicks aren't as high as they used to be. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get better. And so I think that adherence to growth, that desire for iteration, not perfection, and just kind of the discipline of practice is my armor where I can always be safe. It's like if I'm growing and getting better, I'm going to win over time. I'm going to be stronger than I was yesterday. And you can't take that from me. Nothing can impact that because that's a choice I can make. And so I think, I teach a lot of my teams and my people around me iteration over perfection.
That's
And then I
great.
think about urgency, right? Like we got to, like, today's the day, right? If you can get 10 kicks in, you're better than if you only did 8 kicks. And so it's just those things, they create clarity of focus, and it's like, oh, as long as I'm iterating, it's going to work itself out. It's going to work itself out. Keep learning.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you either you had this work ethic or it was developed right by going and just like in this sense of going to class or going to practice and just really doing things over and over and over. And it really does sound like it translated to everything that you're doing. It sounds like a lot of what's made you successful is you kind of digging in and having a little bit of freedom to kind of figure stuff out, and then having that attitude of, well, I'm just going to keep going and I'll do a lot to figure out what works and what doesn't. Is that fair?
It was like you can always outwork someone.
Yeah.
In martial arts, it's, we think about muscle memory a lot, right? If you can train the body to react a very specific way, the more repetitions you see, the faster you see things, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I would, near the end, I was about 30, and I had these 18-year-olds who, I mean, one kid set the record for some, athletics in his high school, but I could still whoop him in sparring. 18 years old, could jump in the air, spin 3 times, slightly overweight 30-year-old, but I could still beat him. Why? Because I had seen this move so many times that I knew it was coming long before he had decided to throw it. And so it looked like I was really fast, but no, I had just seen it enough where I knew it was coming. And that's back to the outwork. If I can get more repetitions, if I can get in the work, and I keep this mind going like, okay, what's the next level? What's the next level? What's the next level? And if you think about martial arts, it's always the next level. What did I name my company? Next level. And it's not a work ethic. It's just like I don't know how else to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like winning. So I'm competitive as it gets. I
love
like
it.
winning.
Here's a question I love to ask people because I think that there's a point in life where you got to be professional. You got to be a pro. So in your world, in your profession, what you do on a daily basis, what do you think makes someone a pro? Like, just if you think of this person's a pro, what do you think makes someone a pro?
Oh, it's a good question, John. Because you know what? I first thought as an employee, and then I'm like, that's not my profession. My profession is an entrepreneur now. And so how do I be good at being an entrepreneur? And the first thing that came to mind is Gino's content and thinking about the 6 essential traits of a visionary and the 8 mistakes to avoid and the 8 must-dos and his 9 stages of business and his 10 disciplines from the book Shine and thinking about building my EOS life. And if I can keep all of those things in my mirror, like most martial arts schools have a mirror, I love that about martial arts school. There's no other sport that does that like that. And I call it a sport. Yes, dancing and others have mirrors, but like,
no, totally, yeah, totally.
You can see your own progress in the mirror or your own failure in the mirror. And so as long as I keep it in the mirror and use that as my like litmus test of progress, not because I'm, Dan Sullivan and strategic coach talks about the gap and the gain. For me, it's just like, that's the backdrop. That's the mountain I'm working on today. And I'm not worried about the next mountain because you kind of never get there. And that's how martial arts is. So I'm not going to arrive someday. I'm just going to keep working. And so what do I do to be a pro? I focus on those. Do I have the right integrator? Am I going through the 9 stages? Do I know my numbers? Do I know myself? Am I maximizing my energy? Am I doing $25 an hour work? Am I delegating and elevating? Is my vision clear? So how am I a pro? I just use the stuff that's already been figured out how to do it really well. Awesome. Like every good martial artist, their instructor knows how to do it right. And their instructor's usually right. It just, we have to wait till you get it as a student.
I love it. Well, honestly, I love hearing the stories, and I think your story probably will resonate with a ton of people. I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but what's the best way if someone wants to, like, it sounds like connect with energy, connect with you, or connect with EMC, or just kind of learn more about the stuff that you're doing, or even next level?
Yeah. Just start with LinkedIn and then go join an energy chapter and then reach out. And I'll get you sorted because, energy is the where to find the who's and how's. So if I can't help you, I know who can, and I'll take you to their doorstep. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, like I said, I feel like every time I go on LinkedIn, I see a new energy. Somebody's posting about attending an energy, or there's a new chapter somewhere. And I'm just like, who are these people? They're out of control. What's going on?
Just wait.
Coming to a LinkedIn post near you.
Just wait.
You will not be. That's awesome. Well, Kyle, thanks so much for agreeing to chat. This has been cool just to learn a ton about you. All right, before we go though, you got to drop your favorite martial arts movie. We kind of hinted at this.
We did talk about this a little bit.
So you just got to drop it, and if you want to give a little explanation, feel free. But tell me.
Okay, I'm gonna do it this way. It's between Surf Ninjas.
That's right.
I highly recommend. And 3 Ninjas. Now, since I have young kids, Surf Ninjas is great, but it's more of a teenager flick. It's great as a teenager. It's hysterical. And I know some of the actors through my martial arts connections. I've come across them in the martial arts world, which is wicked.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
But 3 Ninjas from like Home Alone.
I love it.
It's like Home Alone, but karate and taekwondo and martial arts. The kids love it. They cackle, laugh. My son is Tum Tum, and my daughter is Rocky in my own mind. And it's really funny.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, there you go. I love it. Well, Kyle, it's been super cool to chat. Thanks so much again, and hopefully we'll chat again real soon.
Thanks, John. I appreciate you.